Well, if I'm not the biggest hypocrite in the Madden YouTube community, then I don't know who is. Now, in the past, I've criticized Madden rebuilds and pretty much criticized the idea of doing rebuilds. It just was never really something that I was a fan of personally, but with some influence from my buddy Lane, I decided I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to give these rebuilds a chance to see if I can actually enjoy them. So here it is, guys. This is the very first Madden rebuild on Crayniaq Gaming. And as you guys can tell from the screen and the title, we're going to be rebuilding the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, but Caz, the Seahawks made it to the playoffs last year. How can you really rebuild them?
Well, you also got to think about the Seahawks aren't really primed to be Super Bowl contenders as of right now. So I'm going to try to rebuild the defense, rebuild the offensive line, and do a few other things. And the goal here is to win a Super Bowl, obviously. So if you guys enjoy this rebuild, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit the sub button if you're new. Also, click on the notification bell to join the notification gang. And also, make sure you guys go sub to Lane, a.k.a. Headstrong. He's the one who suggested me using the Seahawks in the first place. So go check him out. He drops a new rebuild every Sunday. And he's really starting to become an authority on these rebuilds. So make sure you guys go check Lane out. And we will keep it rolling with this rebuild. Let's get into it now as we look at the Seahawks roster. Of course, you got Russell Wilson at quarterback. He's heading into his 8th season with Seattle, and he's a 91 overall right now, one of the few superstar X factors that the Seahawks have. He has been pretty beat up over the past few years, so we definitely got to rebuild the offensive line to protect him. At running back, we got Chris Carson out of Oklahoma State, heading into his 3rd season. He's a star dev, 87 overall, only 24 years of age, so we're looking to build him into being our franchise running back. We also have Rashad Penny right behind him. He's a 78 overall star development as well. And we may end up trading one or the other of these guys. We'll have to see. At receiver, we got Tyler Lockett, 26 years old, 87 overall. Definitely a deep threat receiver. He has star dev as well, going into his 5th year. And I really don't expect to change much as far as receivers go. We also have David Moore in his 3rd year out of East Central University, a 77 overall, only a normal dev, but definitely plenty of time to develop him. Then we got DK Metcalf, the Combine star from this past Combine. We'll have to see if we can develop him into a solid receiver as well. And looking at tight end, this is one of the weaker spots on the Seahawks overall. Nick Vannett, a 76 overall, heading into his 4th year out of Ohio State, and this is a contract year for him, so we'll have to see what he does this year. They also have Ed Dixon, 76 overall, but he's 32 years old. We also have Will Disley, 73 overall, star dev. He did miss most of his rookie season with an injury. And now we look at the offensive line. We got Dwayne Brown. He's an 82 overall, only a normal dev. We might look to move on from him after this year. We also have Mike Iupati, definitely on the wrong side of the prime of his career. We got Justin Britt at center, 76 overall, heading into a contract year of his own, only a 76 overall. DJ Fluker, an 81 overall at right guard, also a star dev, but I'm not sure how long we're going to keep Fluker on the roster. At right tackle, we have Jermaine Ifedi and George Fant, both not very good right tackles. We're looking to move on from them after this year. Left end, we got Cassius March, the former Patriot and Lion, only a 72 overall. We can definitely do much better at left end. Right end, we have Ziggy Ansah coming over from the Detroit Lions. He's an 80 overall star dev, but he is 30 years old, so I can't really look for him to develop too much more after this year. And then behind him, we have LJ Collier, the rookie out of TCU, only a 69 overall and only a normal dev, so I'm not sure if he's going to be the right end of the future. In the middle of the D-line, we got Jaron Reed, an 81 overall, only 25 years old and a star dev, heading into his contract year. Definitely a guy that can still develop. Then we have Al Woods, 32 years old. I don't think he's going to last after this season with the Seahawks. At left outside linebacker, we got Barkevious Mingo, who's one of the bigger busts over the past few years. Only a 75 overall and a 4.3. Not really his fit as outside linebacker. And then, of course, we have Bobby Wagner right in the middle. One of the few 99 overalls in this game. He's definitely going to be the middle linebacker of the future. Right outside linebacker, we have KJ Wright. He's a star dev, 81 overall, but he is 30 years old, so definitely heading towards the down tilt of his career. We have Michael Kendricks 81 overall, star dev. And then, of course, we have Shaquem Griffin, 69 overall, giggity. And heading into his second year at UCF, we'll see if we can get anything out of him. Only a normal dev, so it's kind of worrisome. Then we have his twin brother at cornerback, Shaquille Griffin, 81 overall, star dev, only 24 years of age. And we'll see if he can last with this team in this rebuild. Then we have Trey Flowers, heading into his second year at Oklahoma State, a 79 overall, normal dev. And then at free safety, we have two pretty good guys in Bradley McDougal, who's a star dev, 79 overall, but he is 28 years old, so he's heading towards maybe the twilight of his career. And at strong safety, we definitely need some help because we have rookie Marquise Blair. He's a 67 overall, not very good at all. And then we have Jason Myers at kicker, and we have Michael Dixon at punter. Nothing's going to happen to those guys. Now, looking at our draft capital, we do have 2 second-round picks in this upcoming draft, so pretty good capital here for the most part. And looking at the 2021 draft, we're not missing any picks from there. We have all of our picks intact. Now, we summed the first season and we end up missing the playoffs, and actually we finished last in the division at 5-11. Even the Cardinals finished better than us. The 49ers and Rams both made the playoffs. The Niners won the division, but not a very good first season in Sim. Looking at the stats, we had Wilson throw 27 touchdowns, 10 picks, over 4,000 yards passing. Only got sacked 18 times, so that's pretty good there. And as you guys can see, I forgot to turn injuries off for the first 2 seasons, so Carson only played 12 games, but just shy of 800 yards and 5 touchdowns. Penny had over 600 yards, 11 touchdowns, but did fumble 3 times. So not very good there, but still the 11 touchdowns is pretty impressive. Looking at the receiving stats, David Moore actually led the team in receptions and yards, and he had 5 touchdowns to boot. Lockett led the team with touchdowns with 7, and Metcalf with 6 touchdown receptions in his rookie season. Looking at the offensive line, Ifedi gave up 6 sacks, as did Brown. And looking at the stats, KJ Wright led the team in tackles with 110. And the team didn't do very well with sacks. As you see, KJ Wright led the team with 4.5 sacks. Ziggy Ansah had 4 as well. And not very good with interceptions, as Wagner leads the team with 3 interceptions. That's not very good, to be honest with you. Wagner also led the team with deflections. And nobody had a touchdown or a safety recorded. So we're going to have to do a better job of adding playmakers to this defense if we want to contend. And the Super Bowl for the first year of this rebuild is going to be Patriots versus Packers. So Aaron Rodgers battles Tom Brady. And looking at the awards, Drew Brees, even with a 7-9 record, wins MVP over Kareem Hunt, who finished 13-3, and Marcus Mariota somehow got into the MVP race as well. He probably had a really good season, which is probably shocking to a lot of people who aren't Titans fans. So as you see in the top right corner, the Packers ended up losing to the Patriots 30-24, so Brady gets one more Super Bowl before retiring. And the Patriots actually won this one in overtime, crazy enough, so the Patriots have won both overtime games in Super Bowl history. So now we're in the resigning period, and we're going to try to resign Bobby Wagner to a 4-year, $77.8 million deal, but he's just not interested in signing. Well, guess what, Bobby? I'm not interested in letting you go, so I'm going to slap him with the franchise tag, paying him $14.2 million for this year, and he's going to remain a Seahawk at least for this year. Michael Kendricks, I decided to let go because we kind of have a logjam at right outside linebacker. We are going to try to re-sign Jaron Reed with a 2-year, $15.9 million deal. Of course, a $3 million signing bonus. And he accepts it, so we're able to keep part of our defensive line intact. We try to offer Ziggy Ansah a 1-year, $6.8 million deal, but he decides that he is not going to re-sign with the Seahawks. He's going to test free agency. And then David Moore, the receiver, we're going to try to re-sign to a $17.9 million deal over 3 years. And he accepts it. He can't wait for next year. And I'm glad to keep him. Al Woods, I decided to let go. Same with Mingo and Iupati. Nick Vanette as well is out of here. And same with Cassius March. Just don't really want to keep any of these guys for the most part. Brown and Ifedi are definitely gone as well. And pretty much everybody else is just straight up getting the boot. So now we're going to look to build this team through free agency with $58.1 million of cap space. And the first guy we're going to go after is Eric Ebron, the former tight end from the Colts and the Lions. We give him a 4-year, $32.8 million deal. And right now we're the only guys to offer him. We also go after Mike Pouncey, the former Dolphin and Charger, offering him a 1-year deal. And we decided to bump up the contract all the way to about $7.75 million. And now we're in first place with him. We also offer the former Buccaneer DeMar Dotson a 1-year deal as well, worth $9.4 million. And we end up being the only team to offer him. And then Bud Dupree, the former Steeler, we offered a contract to him as well. And then we also offer Kendall Fuller, who somehow doesn't have more offers, at 89 overall with Star Dev. Absolutely insane to me, but I'm going to take advantage of that. And we end up signing 4 of the 5 after the first week of free agency. Ebron, the only one who hasn't accepted his contract yet, and you're going to see why in just a moment. The Cowboys, Dolphins, and Bills are all in front of us as far as Ebron goes. But we still have $21.5 million to go in cap space, so we bump up the offer a little bit. And we bump it all the way up to $42.8 million. So pretty much $10 million over the next 4 years more than he was asking for. And honestly, there's just no way he's going to say no to this offer. And we definitely need a tight end, and we get our tight end in Eric Ebron. So we're one step closer to getting this offense where it needs to be. Now we're going to the draft. We have the 5th overall pick. And there are a few guys I was thinking about getting, but I decided to draft Tanner Peralta. I know we already have Bobby Wagner, but since we run a 4-3, we could move Peralta outside. Now, it does say that we reached on him because he's the 9th ranked player overall wise, but he's a 75 overall, and we're going to look at his ratings as well. I did forget to do the ratings for a few players, but he's an 85 pursuit and 84 hit power, and that's pretty damn good. His zone coverage could be better, as can his awareness be, but overall, I really like the pick of Peralta there. Now, in the 2nd round, we have a few guys that we're looking at as well. Morgan Fines right there. We could use another center because I don't expect Mike Pouncey to be back after this year. But we decided to go after Taj Timmons, which is kind of a reach. And when I say kind of a reach, it's definitely a huge reach, as you're going to see in just a moment. He's a 65 overall, and we picked him early in the 2nd round. So that's not very good at all. But a rookie mistake on my part as far as rebuilds go. And later in the 2nd round with our 2nd pick, we end up picking Reggie Forbes. They say it's a good pick, but another 65 overall. This is when I kind of figured out that in these generated draft classes, the rookies aren't very highly rated. Now, into the 3rd round we go. We're going to pick up Houston Bowman, who had a really good combine, and it's a good pick. He's the 42nd ranked in true talent, and we picked him 69, and he's the 69 overall, so double giggity there. And he has 69 run blocking, triple giggity, 90 strength and 76 pass blocking as well. Definitely a pretty solid pick there. Then in the 4th round, we decided to go with Denton Downs, another solid pick there, 47th ranked in true talent, and we got him at 101. He's a 68 overall, only a normal dev, but still a good pick. But then I simmed from there, and the rest of the picks weren't very good, but I'm still happy with what I got for the most part, especially with Peralta. So now looking at the roster for year 2, Russell Wilson still at quarterback, of course. Then we got Chris Carson at running back with Rashad Penny right behind him. Also Travis Homer and Bo Scarborough on the roster. And we still have Lockett, Metcalf, and Moore as our receivers. Disley's our H-back, Ebron's the tight end. Then on the line, we got Mike Pouncey, DJ Fluker, DeMar Dotson, Denton Downs, and Dwayne Brown. Now defensively, we got Reed and Ford in the middle, and then Martin and Collier on the outside on the D-line. Linebackers, we have KJ Wright, Bobby Wagner, and Tanner Peralta. And in the secondary, we got Kendall Fuller, Shaquille Griffin, Bradley McDougald, and Taj Timmons. And I ended up starting Shaquem Griffin over KJ Wright to see what he could do. So we ended up missing the playoffs yet again, but we actually ended up having a better record than we did in the first year. We finished 9-7. The Rams just made it over us because they had a better divisional record, and they may have even sweeped us, I don't even know. But looking at the stats, Russell Wilson, down in touchdowns, down in passing yards, and actually got sacked more than he did last year with the same amount of interceptions, but the same completion percentage as well. Carson actually had over 1,000 yards this season, 1,274 to be exact, and 6 touchdowns. Did fumble twice, but that's not too bad. Penny, 11 touchdowns, 356 yards. And Carson definitely earned himself an extension. This was a contract year for him, and that might leave Penny on the outside looking in, with Homer and Scarborough right behind him. David Moore, another really good season, 700 yards. Lockett also had 700 as well. Both had 5 touchdowns. And Metcalf kind of had a down year. Same amount of receptions, but less yards and less touchdowns. Ebron missed 4 games this year. Did have 3 touchdowns, however, but his stats weren't really what I was looking for. But that's my fault for turning on injuries for the first 2 years of this rebuild. Disley with 5 touchdowns. He had a pretty solid year, about what I expect from him. Dwayne Brown gave up 9 sacks this year, and it might be time to move on from him at this point, honestly, because that's just not very good compared to last year. But yeah, he's probably going to retire anyway, so we're not really going to have to worry about cutting him or anything like that. And on the defensive side, KJ Wright and Kendall Fuller both with 90 tackles. That's not good that Kendall Fuller had 90 tackles, though. Shaquem Griffin actually had 7 sacks as well, so that's pretty good. Wagner had 2 picks as well. Jaron Reed with 4 sacks. Wagner had 4 sacks. KJ Wright with 3.5. So still not what we're looking for as far as sack totals go. Wagner, Fuller, and Thompson all had 2 interceptions. Again, not very good for the secondary, to be completely honest with you guys. But we actually did get a safety this year. Still no touchdowns defensively, but I'll take a safety. LJ Collier got the safety there. But also had a sack as well, but still not very good. And look who won MVP, Jacoby Brissett. Drew Brees, I guess, retired. So Brissett takes over in New Orleans and ends up winning MVP. That's pretty crazy to me. And Timmons actually finished in front of Peralta as far as Defensive Rookie of the Year goes, which is pretty shocking to me. Looking at Timmons' stats, 63 tackles, only 3 for a loss. Did have 3 deflections, but no interceptions this year for him. And now we're going to look at Peralta, 37 tackles. I think he might have missed most of the season with an injury. That's probably why he didn't have that good of stats. No, he didn't even miss any games. He played all 16, which is kind of crazy. And the Super Bowl this year is going to be Browns versus Packers. And the Packers absolutely dominate the Browns 42-7. So Aaron Rodgers showing the young Baker Mayfield how it's done. So now another year of re-signings, and Bobby Wagner again looking to leave through free agency. We're going to give him a 2-year extension for almost $35 million between those 2 years, so pretty much $17 million per year. And he's gonna decline again. Probably wants to play for a team that's actually made the playoffs, but we're still gonna tag him this time, $14.3 million. So he pretty much missed out on $3 million. So now we're gonna try to extend Chris Carson. I know running backs aren't really as coveted as they used to be, but Carson has definitely proven his worth over the past 2 seasons, so I decided we're going to try to bring him back. So we give him a 5-year deal worth pretty much $10 million per year, and he's going to accept it. So glad we got that deal done with him. Then Shaquille Griffin we're also going to try to re-sign, even though he hasn't really produced as far as interceptions goes. But I just want to try to bring him back to keep this secondary intact, but he decides he's going to test free agency, and I'm not even going to really pursue him. I decide that I'm not going to re-sign Mike Pouncey and DJ Fluker. You're going to see me flip-flop on that in just a moment. And I also don't re-sign KJ Wright either, but I do try to re-sign Tedrick Thompson, and he decides to accept the contract and come back. I didn't re-sign Bradley McDougald. He's going down in age. So now we have $62.2 million in cap space, and we decided we're going to go after the former Carolina Panther Taylor Moton. He's an 83 overall star dev. We offer him 3 years, $43.4 million over those 3 years, and we get him in first place in that race. And again, this is where the flip-flopping happens. I decide, hey, maybe I'll take 1 more year of Mike Pouncey. I mean, he's 80 overall still, so he can definitely help the team. And it looks like I'm going to get him back. Same thing with DJ Fluker. He's 30 years old, but still an 80 overall and a star dev. So maybe we can get 1 more good season out of him and make a run at the playoffs. And we get in front of Cincinnati. Now, at left end, we got Calais Campbell right here. He is 35 years old, but I still decided to offer him a contract. He's an 81 overall superstar X-Factor player. So I see if I can get anything out of him. And plenty of good options at right end. We got Tack McKinley, Taco Charlton, Randy Gregory, just to name a few. But I decided to go cheap and go after Solomon Thomas. That way I can spend the rest of my cap space on different spots. Thomas is a 75 overall, but he's 26 years old and a star dev, so maybe we might be able to get something out of him. And then I offer Richard Sherman a contract, who is a free agent. He's 33 years old, still a superstar X Factor and 87 overall. So we're going to try to mend the bridge there, but he's going to decline the contract. And DJ Fluker also declined our contract, but we do sign Taylor Moton and Calais Campbell and Solomon Thomas, but Mike Pouncey also rejected our contract there. And we do make a trade. We decided to trade Rashard Penny, and we absolutely fleece the Eagles pretty much here, as we get the #2 pick overall for Penny, our 2nd round pick, and our 4th round pick. Talk about a fleece job right there. Maybe it's a little unrealistic. I don't know. I don't care. But we had the #2 pick in the draft. And since we can't get Pouncey back, I decided to bring Justin Britt back on a 2-year deal. Now, he has gone down in overall a little bit, and he is 30 years old, but he's kind of just a placeholder just in case we can't draft a center. Then at right tackle, we pick up Jeremy Parnell. He's only a 71 overall, 35 years of age. Probably not much left in him. Same thing. We're just trying to see if we can get something out of him. Then we signed Steven Nelson. He's a 78 overall and only 28 years of age. We also signed Sua Cravens to finally fill that hole at strong safety that we've had for so long. A 74 overall. Not very good. Hasn't really met up to his potential, but we'll see if we can get something out of him. And all 4 guys end up signing their contracts, so that's very good there. And look who's picking #1 overall. My favorite team, the Tennessee Titans. And they pick a cornerback. If that ain't the most Titan thing I've ever seen in my life, I don't know what is. But he was the top prospect in the draft, so maybe they picked the right guy there. And I have plenty of options, but I decided to go after Jose Acosta. I really liked his combine, really liked his top skills as well. And they say I reach because he's the 5th ranked player in overall, but he's 76 overall and definitely fits the 4-3 scheme, so I'm happy with the pick. And now we're picking 17th overall, looking at one of these 2 defensive tackles, and I decided at the end of the day that I'm going to go with London Barton. And Barton definitely had an amazing combine where he plays top 4 in pretty much every spot. And we pick him up. He's a 73 overall. And now we got a guy to pair with Jared and Reed. And this defensive line is going to look really good. 86 strength, as you see there. Now, we don't have a 2nd round pick, so we go to the 3rd round. We pick up left tackle Carlos Diggs. And he ends up being a pretty solid pick. 67 overall, 72nd in overall talent, and we picked him 82nd, or 81st that is. 87 strength, 78 impact blocking, and 77 pass blocking. Pretty good for a left tackle, picked in the 3rd round. And we decided to take a chance on a center because we didn't scout anybody past the 5th round, and we pick a guy who has a 51 overall. Yeah, I gotta improve on this drafting thing when it comes to rebuilds. We take another chance on a guy named Chance Whitfield, no pun intended, and he actually worked out for us, a 60 overall in the 6th round. I'm not gonna complain about that. Overall, a pretty decent draft outside of the whiff on Bridge, and we ended up picking a quarterback in the 7th round because I didn't even sign a quarterback. There was no point because at this point I turned injuries off. And now we go to cornerback to find where Shaquille Griffin went. He went to the Bills, so it's only right we trade Shaquem Griffin to Buffalo as well. We send him in a 4th round pick to Buffalo for a 2nd round pick. And honestly, that's a lot more than I thought we would actually get for him. And all we had to do is give up a 4th. I'm not going to complain about that at all. So now going into the 3rd year, we got Russell Wilson at quarterback still, obviously. And then we got Chris Carson at running back with Travis Homer and Bo Scarborough as the backups. We still have our big 3 in Lockett, Metcalf, and Moore at receiver. Ebron's still there at tight end. Disley still playing H-back for us. But a different offensive line now. We got Britt in the middle. We got Downs and Bauman as our guards. And then Moton and Parnell as our bookend tackles. Now moving to the defensive side, probably the best defensive line we've had so far in this series. We got Reed and Barton in the middle. We got Solomon Thomas and Calais Campbell on the ends. At linebacker, plenty of talent there. We got Acosta and Peralta. Of course, we still have Bobby Wagner as the middle linebacker. And then in the secondary, we got Fuller, Flowers, and Nelson at corner. And then the safeties are Thompson and Sua Cravens. So now we sim to the playoffs, and not only did we make the playoffs, but we also got a first-round bye after missing the playoffs the past 2 seasons, which is pretty damn amazing. We will go 11-4-1, which is good for second place in the NFC, right behind the Dallas Cowboys, who went 14-2. The Browns also went 14-2. So that's pretty crazy. We have 2 14-2 teams in this rebuild. Now looking at the stats, Russell Wilson goes down a percentage point in completion percentage, but probably his best season as far as touchdowns goes. 45 touchdowns, only 11 picks, 4,723 yards through the air, and an amazing season by Russell Wilson. And Chris Carson had a really good season as well. 8 touchdowns, over 1,200 yards again on 281 carries, and no fumbles from him. That's very impressive. Homer had 4 touchdowns, and Scarborough had 3. And receiving-wise, Eric Ebron over 1,000 yards receiving, 98 receptions, 8 touchdowns. David Moore almost to 1,000 yards, did have 11 touchdowns. Lockett had 975 yards, 7 touchdowns. And Metcalf 847 yards and 9 touchdowns. So a really good season from our receivers. Bobby Wagner 130 tackles on the season, so he definitely played really well. Acosta had 96 and 6 sacks. And Calais Campbell 8.5 sacks, Solomon Thomas 7.5, Acosta with 6, like I said, and Reed with 5, Dupree with 4. So a great job in general in improving on the sacks. Interceptions still weren't where they needed to be. We only had 5 on the season, so our secondary definitely still needs to improve, but definitely more playmaking ability as far as pass rush goes. And we got another safety this year from Bud Dupree, and he also had a block as well of some sort. So moving to the divisional round, we're taking on the Atlanta Falcons, and we're going to sim this game. We end up winning it 21-17 over Atlanta, and Russell Wilson a really good game. 2 touchdowns, 263 yards, Carson 61 yards, and then Metcalf 117 and a touchdown. So now we're going to play the Dallas Cowboys in the NFC Championship game, and we end up winning 24-21 in a very closely contested game. So, in the 3rd year of this rebuild, we get the Seahawks back to the Super Bowl. And we're going to be taking on the Baltimore Ravens, as you're going to see in just a moment. But we got to talk about Ezekiel Elliott winning the MVP. He must have had an amazing year for him to win it over Russell Wilson. Same with Andrew Luck. He must have had a great year to be ranked higher than Wilson. And I'm kind of shocked to see Mariota still on the Titans, even though we saw them have the 1st overall pick in the previous draft. But Jose Acosta ends up winning Defensive Rookie of the Year in the NFC. London Barton finished 5th, but a great season from Acosta, and he definitely deserved to win the Defensive Rookie of the Year award. Russell Wilson wins Best Quarterback in the NFC, and David Moore ended up finishing 6th in Best Receiver, and we didn't have anybody in Best O-Line. Best D-Line, we had Calais Campbell finish 8th, and nobody really finished for us anywhere else. So now it's Super Bowl time, and I decided to super sim the majority of this game. And Kendall Fuller gets a clutch pick there. And our offense is not really getting anything going early in the game. And then Lamar Jackson launches a dot for a touchdown to make it 7-0. I decide I'm going to go fast with the simming now. We end up tying it at 7. We take a 14-7 lead, but Baltimore ties it right back up. They take a 21-14 lead before the end of the half. And now into the 3rd quarter, and nobody's going to score in the 3rd quarter as we just can't get anything going. And I decided normal sim it here, and the Ravens end up taking a 28-14 lead. I didn't realize they had Derrick Henry, and we still just can't get anything going offensively. We end up punting here. Then Bobby Wagner gets a clutch interception, and then 2 plays later, we punch it in for a touchdown to make it 28-21. Baltimore ends up stalling after a drop by Mark Andrews. So now we have a chance to tie the ball game up, and Russell Wilson leads an amazing drive to tie the game up at 28. And now the Ravens have the football, 2 minutes to go, and Ramsey going to check down to Mark Andrews for a couple of yards. Now a 2nd and 6. Jackson in the shotgun drops back, and he's going to throw it over the middle and completes it for a 1st down. Big hit from Bobby Wagner. And now the Ravens at midfield, 1st and 10. Here's Jackson back to pass. He finally decides to scramble, and he's going to get into Seattle territory. That's going to bring up a 2nd and 7 as they go no huddle. And Jackson going to drop back, steps up in the pocket, throws over the middle, and completes it. And now Baltimore well within field goal range. We burn a timeout. But now we're playing against the clock pretty much. Now 2nd and 11. We're able to stuff Derrick Henry in the backfield. He loses 3. We have to burn our final timeout. But now Baltimore is going to kick a field goal without leaving us much time remaining. And then Derrick Henry covers up the football, gets a pretty solid gain. And now they call upon Justin Tucker as a 43-yard attempt to get the Ravens their 3rd Super Bowl victory in team history, but then we're going to block it, and it's picked up by Sua Cravens, and there's no Ravens in front of him. Cravens is going to return this blocked field goal for a touchdown to put Seattle ahead with 3 seconds left in the game. And this is the craziest ending to a Super Bowl I've ever seen in real life or otherwise. I mean, the Ravens are looking at kicking the field goal to win the Super Bowl, but we block it on a bad snap. And just like that, the Seahawks take the lead with 3 seconds to go. And wow, what a turn of events. That has to be heartbreaking for Ravens fans and the team in general. But they do have one last shot with a Hail Mary. But Jackson throws it way too quickly. They do complete it, but we're able to bring him down. And the Seahawks are the Super Bowl champions for just the 2nd time in their team history. In dramatic fashion, no less. But, oh my goodness. Man, I wasn't even playing the game either, and that happened. That is crazy, honestly. But Sua Cravens and Simeon Thomas are both the heroes in this game. I mean, wow. What a game, and that has to be heartbreaking for the Ravens once again. Sua Cravens ends up winning Super Bowl MVP with 2 touchdowns. Also had a pick 6 in this game. But again, it only took me 3 years, but I get the Seahawks to the Super Bowl, and again, we win it in such dramatic fashion. Probably the most dramatic you will ever see on this channel, to be completely honest with you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching this rebuild. This is pretty much the end of it. I mean, we achieved the goal of getting the Seahawks back to the Super Bowl, and again, what a way to win the Super Bowl, honestly. But I am definitely looking for constructive criticism for this rebuild. This is the first rebuild that I've ever done for the channel, so I definitely would appreciate any and all criticism or advice or anything else you guys could give me. Because obviously, if you guys are new to the channel, you guys would probably watch rebuilds and you just ran across mine and you're like, oh, this guy's a noob when it comes to rebuilds. Well, help me out, guys. Let me know what I can do better. Let me know what I'm doing well with as far as the rebuilds go. And thank you guys so much for watching this video. Again, shout out to Lane for inspiring me to actually go through with doing a rebuild this year. I definitely expect to do a lot more, and I'll get a lot better with doing rebuilds. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit the sub button if you're new as well. Also, click on the notification bell to join the notification gang. And if you like what I do on the channel and you want to support the channel in a more personal way, definitely consider becoming a patron. Even $1 a month definitely helps the channel out exponentially. Now, being a patron or even donating to me isn't required for me to do what I do, but it definitely helps me out a lot, and I definitely appreciate every last one of you guys who does pledge to me or donates to me. But anyways, that's going to do it, guys. You have yourselves a wonderful rest of your day, night, or whenever you're watching this. And like I always say, guys, no matter what happens, make sure you keep that mofo rolling. And I'm out of here. Deuces.
God, they tryna turn me to a monster. Every year I'm a conquer. Okay, see, I bring the thunder. Walking in humble, I leave Muhammad. Sting you like Bumble. Running with pride. 10 over, eyes to a bliss. I don't fumble blind.